Hello, inspiring professionals. Welcome back to Wolf Quest. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about an imposter syndrome. That came to mind for a couple of reasons. One, I had a few clients who were talking about, in senior positions, who were saying that they're still suffering from feeling like they're unworthy of the roles that they're in. And that would interfere in how they performed in meetings. Made it hard for them to be themselves in those meetings. Also, it kind of came up for me because I'm about to run a webinar this week with 150 people on the call. 150 people. And this is not something I've ever done before. The largest kind of group I've ever spoken in front online was a workshop with 8 to 10 people on it. And I've been having these feelings of being inadequate, or like I don't have enough to share. And it's been affecting me. I've been procrastinating, preparing for the workshop, for example. The topics that come up for your clients is often something that I see in myself as well. The work that I've been doing with my clients, and if you're someone who's also struggling with imposter syndrome for whatever reason, you may also follow these steps. And one thing that's important for me to look at in any type of issue that people are struggling with is the thinking behind these negative feelings, behind the anxiety, behind negative emotions. And when I look at the thinking of my imposter, the thinking is that I'm some sort of a fraud and not worth listening to. And when you look even closer, you will notice that this thinking is oftentimes comes from a specific event. It may even remind you a person in your life who may be said things like this, or a number of people, a group of people. So it could be a group of, mean kids at school, or a teacher, or, one of your parents. What came up for me is I used to be told that I'm not very good at my studies, even though I was, but that was, one of my parents' way of keeping me, I guess, engaged and do my best. But this voice kind of stayed with me that I'm not good enough, and I'm never kind of perfect enough in anything that I do. The thing to do when you find where this pattern of thinking is coming from is to kind of like try and understand it. So I was trying to understand, so what did my mother most want for me? What was her need behind her words of telling me that I'm not good enough in my studies? And I'm noticing that my understanding now is that she wanted the best for me, and she saw good prospects for my life, and she knew I could do better. And it was hard for me to see it this way, but I invite you to try and find a way in which this negative thought, whatever it came from, what are some of the ways that it might be helpful for you, that is might be trying to either push you to be better or encourage you to, do things differently. That was for me. I wonder if you can think about what could that be for you as well as we're speaking. And so one way of working with this, imposter syndrome is to either understand its need and make friends with it. So kind of from being this huge entity behind me telling me all these nasty things in my ear, kind of just make it smaller and friendlier, almost like this little kind of encourager on your shoulder. So I imagined my mom kind of being small on my shoulder and going I know you can do better, I'm on your side, come on, just, get yourself into the next challenge. So in a way you externalize it. Instead of having this pattern of thinking, negative thinking in your head running your actions, you make it into an entity, something that is more manageable, that you can observe. It can help you to catch it before it grows into this overwhelming negative feeling. And so another way to manage this is to also think about, if these thoughts are not useful to me, what kind of pattern of thinking do I need to rewire, to change my reaction to these new kind of situations? And you may even ask yourself, what kind of qualities do I need to feel better in those situations? So for me, it's maybe the qualities of kindness, acknowledgement of my strengths, encouragement. So having someone in my corner. You may even think about what sort of person or archetype or a symbol or entity, maybe a cartoon character, do these qualities remind you of? In a way, you're trying to externalize those qualities also. And for me, I thought about a person, a friend, who's actually very encouraging to me, and also I see how she's with her children. And I imagine that I would have loved to have that kind of voice in my head of saying that, well done, look at where you are today. Acknowledging my efforts and telling me that no matter whether I fail or succeed, I will still be loved and accepted. And again, once you externalize that into a symbol, object, person, whatever that is, imagine it's a little figure, and it's a figure on your other shoulder. And it's a figure that's telling you nice things about you, supportive things about you. This pattern of thinking, or this symbol, is definitely in your corner. And so when you're in a meeting or when you're running this difficult event, so you can do two things. You can observe where one of this entity with negative, connected to the negative pattern of thinking comes up. You imagine it becoming smaller, more manageable. Put it on your shoulder, maybe place it on your table, ask it to just leave you alone for the time being. Or maybe say something a bit more encouraging to you. And you can also invite the other entity onto your other shoulder or in front of you on the table to say the kind of things that would help you to be in your optimal state during this meeting. So think about what could symbolize that for you. And maybe you can think of an object that you can carry with you, put on your desk, that will remind you of that. Maybe you can Google an image and screenshot it on your phone screen, so that you can be reminded of it anytime you need it, and especially before those difficult meetings that you're dreading to have, especially before those difficult conversations or things that make you feel like an imposter. Definitely get yourself reminded through engaging with that other supportive, kind entity. Good luck experimenting with it. I'd love to hear what sort of things came up for you and what are your avatars for those different patterns of thinking. Leave them in the comments below, and I'd love to hear what are some of the other ways that you've managed to deal with, if you've suffered from imposter syndrome in the past, what sort of things helped you. Please share ideas below. Subscribe to my channel. I often share videos here with ideas on how to live with purpose and inner peace. And wish me luck on the webinar. I'm feeling better just talking this through with you right now. And I'll see you next time. Hey there, just wanted to give a quick update. I've had that webinar that I was talking about, and after that I had another 2 webinars with also about 150 people on each. And even though, especially in the first one, I felt still like my imposter was somewhat interfering, I've gone through the experience nonetheless, and I got really great feedback for even that first one, when I felt more nervous. And yet on the following webinars, it was amazing how much more centered and confident I felt doing that. So if you're someone who has that imposter interfering in doing things that are challenging and yet important for you, do some work on the imposter syndrome and really go after those challenges, because of course it only gets easier with time. So I used to feel really scared of speaking in front of 10 people. Now I've spoken in front of 150 people 3 times, and I'm feeling so much better. Yeah, I can't say that I feel absolutely fine about it, but it's definitely much easier, and I'm looking forward to my next challenge. Good luck with your explorations. I'd love to hear your comments, and I'll see you next time.